yo, we getting nothing but trays out here. I was like, instead of shots, it's just trays, trade. Or the Oprah one, whatever. You got it. You understand? Look, I was like, to the point that hey, NBA was like, hey, we doing this trade thing. It's our week and whatnot. That the NFL was like, yo, I don't like that you take any of our spotlight. So the NFL's like, hey, we're gonna have some trades too. And that's what we did, basically with Cooper Kupp and Myles Garrett, basically talking about trades here. I was like, you want to talk about trade? Let's talk about trades. That's what's going on. So I was like, with that, combine about to come up. I was like, hell, I was like, to be honest, we got the Super Bowl coming up, and unless you a football podcast, I was like, yo, the NBA thing sort of took over. And to be honest, I was like, I get it because the NFL got this you really got 2 weeks between the conference championship game and the Super Bowl. That's a lot of time that you really think about it. That week after you get off of that, you're doing a lot of analysis that when you get to the second week, which is this week, ain't really much you can really say. But hey, that's for another time, another video here coming up soon. I just took on my watch, so never mind. Anyway, let's go ahead and just talk about the trade or whatever like that, cause I was like, because of course we got the combine coming up, but free agency comes up before that. And with both of these scenarios, is that you're really going to have to really get them through a trade, especially Myles Garrett, Cooper Kupp. I was like, you're going to have to really get them through a trade, because I was like, to be honest, I really don't see them cutting them, because I was like, it might get their hand, but I think it depends on what he goes for. And I was like, there's some money for them to eat. But I was like, at the same time, I think you still getting a really good receiver. I just think that Puka Nacua just became like such dominant. And also, we sort of seen that Stafford, while he will spread the ball around, he gets really, really like honed in on a person. Like when he had Cooper Kupp, he did have like some other people he could throw it to outside of once once Odell got Odell, and I was like it switched up. But once Odell sort of got taken out, there was nothing he could do. That's something different. But once Puka came, Cooper just started getting phased out, and that's because I really think that Puka took a lot of his stuff more so than Cooper being really effective anymore. And maybe just because of that system, they really just like got you really are just a dominant player. Cause think about it, I was like, you didn't really hear Tutu that much. I was like, Higbee they got back later on, but you didn't hear none of the other receivers at all. And I was like, and it seemed like they struggled when they didn't have a number one at times or whatever, whether it was Coop or then it became Puka. Anyway, I still think you get something out of Coop. Also, can we? I was like, I know I haven't got to the trades yet, but we're gonna. It's really weird to me that the Rams do a weird thing where with Coop, and they also done it with Todd Gurley. So it's only really two cases I could think of where they signed them to a big, huge contract, like a really big contract, especially for their positions. And as soon as it's about to kick in, then that's when they want to kick him out. You get what I'm saying? Like I was like, Todd Gurley signed that contract, but I think I was like, but it was like 1 year or something like that, right into it. And they're like, all right, you gotta go. We done use you up how we want to do it. And it's like that's weird. That it's like you give them the contract, and then they're just like, we had second thoughts about this. We don't really want you. Anyway, let's go ahead and get it, cause I think Cooper got a lot more retail that he could go out here to go look at than Myles Garrett. So let's go with. I was like, first of all, I think one of the top spots has to be the Raiders. Like I sort of did with the Tyreek Hill video. They don't have a receiver that you really feel like Jacoby Myers is. I was like, I think is a good receiver, but I don't think he's over here like scaring the hell out of you. And Cooper may not be at that level he was where he was like scaring the hell out of people or whatever. And granted, they don't have a quarterback, they don't have that type of I was like the play caller and all the other stuff. But I was like, for a team that doesn't have a receiver, I'm just like, hey, you could add them to a stable to where it's like, okay, maybe if you draft somebody, you got an older veteran. And maybe almost think of almost like the Panthers, where like Thielen came over there, and it's like, oh, he's done. He ain't got nothing else left or whatever. But they didn't have anything else in their receiving corps. They had a whole bunch of young people. He came there. He still had some solid years. and stuff like that. And he's also able to help get some of these young players along while he's still producing, and you got a young quarterback. Kubrick, I think, could be in the same ordeal, but like I said, they need weapons. They just need talent, and I think that I think that they, unless they over here try to like go up to get a quarterback, so they got to use a lot of their draft picks. If they sort of stay where they're at, I was like, I think you get Kupp for like a third round pick. To be honest, I don't think he's going for a second or nothing like that. Depending on the team. Also going with that, I think the Broncos. We're gonna stay in the same division. I think the Broncos is also fit in that category because you sort of do need, like, while Mims, you got Mims that's sort of a downfield threat, and you got Sutton. That's I was like, I still feel like they didn't use him as well this year. But I was like, you still got a big time receiver there. That I was like, you sort of do need to do this sort of in the slot. I was like, I feel like you can get a good run with him with Sean Payton. Bo Nix, he might be a safety valve for Bo Nix, so that Bo Nix just don't do some of his crazy wild throws and every now and then and stuff like that. I was like, he can also work down the field as well, so you don't have to just always take the big play type of thing. I was like, that I think it'll be hard just because they need a draft picks because they are still owing money, I believe, on the Russell Wilson contract. So they don't have, and I was like, so it might still be hard also if the Rams don't eat some of that money as well. Along with that, let's go ahead and get it out the way so that all y'all get mad. The Chiefs. We don't know if Hopkins is going to come back. We don't know if Hollywood Brown's going to come back. We don't know if Juju Smith-Schuster is going to come back. I was like, only one we know is basically going to come back is Kelsey and Xavier Worthy. That's it. Everybody else is pretty much a free agent. So it's like, could they? They don't really need to draft picks in that type of way. Like, yes, they need them because with the money that you're going to be giving to Mahomes, Jones, potential McDuffie, and all them, then yes, you do need some of the draft picks in order to replenish the roster. But I think that if you get a good, solid receiver who sort of plays in the same way, like Mahomes plays like Stafford, I was like, you got Andy Reid, you got someone at Cooper that can play like Travis Kelce, where he can find good open spots or whatever. And I think that I was like, okay, that'd be cool. I was like, you got another dude that can play off Mahomes. I was like, another team that I was like, I thought about the Chargers, but I was like, I think there's too, they still are rebuilding in a way that I was like, and you got McConkey that I was like, I don't see them doing that right now. A lot of money for agent wide receivers. They got rid of a couple of them. I was like, I don't really think that they would, but I was like, the Ravens could be, but I think they're gonna be tight, and I think they're gonna probably do some stuff on defense. I was like, but I could see them needing another receiver because you sort of did see like outside of, I was like, Bateman and Flowers. I mean, the tight ends are good. And I was like, but they still wasn't using. I was like, you didn't really see none out of Aguilar this year. I was like, Deontay Johnson was a flop. Tyron Wallace is just a good dude to like plug into play. The Texans, I think they need to go ahead, go all in. Like I said, they only really playing. I was like, they're only paying really like Daniil Hunter and Tunsil. I was like, I think Stingley is going to be coming up on the contract. Stroud, you still got some years. I was like, I think Nico got signed. Diggs and Tank Dell are coming off injuries, where it's like Tank Dell, I wouldn't even bet on him to come back this year. Diggs, it all just depends because he's a free agent and he got the ACL, so it's like, do you bring him back? And if you do, it's going to be a minute. So give him somebody else that can create off of Nico as well. And I was like, they got the money to spend for this situation, where I was like, I think they could. The draft picks, I also think that it wouldn't be high. Like I said, it's a third round. I don't think it's going to be going to no second round pick for the most part. And I was like, if this is going to be a third, go ahead and pull the trigger. You got the money to do it. The Jags, I think you have to consider, just because it's like they probably going to get rid of Christian Kirk. I was like, so that means you just got Gabe Davis there, and you got Brian Thompson. And I was like, to be honest, I was like, knowing the NFL, they might also get rid of Davis as well too. So it's like, but you need to give all the weapons you can for Trevor Lawrence, because like you're still going to be out here trying to prove that he's the top receiver. So there's that with that team. Give him more weapons around him as well. I was like, the Titans, I only say the Titans if they select a quarterback. If they select a quarterback, I think they should, because I was like, you give your young quarterback a receiver, a reliable receiver, like I said, like the Panthers. If not, then I was like, nah. I was like, don't need it. I was like, just go ahead and just see what's going on with Will Levis or whatever. I was like, you need a draft pick to sort of replenish that roster. I was like, that's the only way I could make it make sound sense or whatever. Buffalo is only to me if you decide that Amari Cooper wasn't as good of a fit as you thought it was going to be, and you want to get Cooper Kupp. I was like, the thing is with Cooper, I was like, well, Amari. I was like Amari and Cooper. Well, they're all the same name. Is that I feel like they're sort of similar players where they both are really good route runners. They're not going to really outrun you or whatever. And I just really don't feel like that's Josh Allen's game. I don't feel like that's Josh Allen's game. Just almost the same way I don't feel like that's. I feel like you could do that. Of course, with Patrick Mahomes, I was like, and Lamar, but I was like, nah, Josh Allen in the same way. I don't see him picking apart in that same type of way. That I was like, I feel like it's a fit. That's why I think Cooper didn't really work that well with him this year. I was like, the Patriots. I was like, I think that could work. They got money. They got, I think, draft pick because you got the quarterback, so you don't. I was like, even though they need talent, I was like, I think that it's not the same once you actually got the quarterback. It makes a little bit of difference, and you give him somebody reliable to throw to as well. I was like, Vrabel, like he's going to want veterans in that locker room, so why not? Steelers. I was like, depends on who the quarterback is. To me, it depends on who the quarterback is. I was like, whether it's Phil Wilson or whoever, I was like, I think that really just depends. It doesn't seem like the Steelers would necessarily do it, but I think that I was like, but you need talent on a wide receiver, and I was like, to me, I was like, he's somebody that I think could play with that team. I was like, he had dealt with a team that will run the ball. I was like, I think he's also understanding and knowledgeable enough for like Q to work in that offense in a way that's like, oh, okay, cool. I don't think he'll get mad at the lack of targets because he's already done that a couple of years already. Whatnot. I was like, I know he's been a little bit more injury prone here a couple of years, but I was like, to me, I think the Steelers will fit in a way where it's just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, I'm going to where I wanted and needed, and I was like, I think it might work better with Fields than it is with Wilson, but hey, it doesn't matter. You just need talent. They're probably gonna get rid of Pickens as well too. The Giants, you already got Neighbors, Malik Neighbors. You don't have a quarterback, but once again, you need receiver talent. I was like, I mean, yes, I can name some other people on the Giants receivers, but it's not worth it. I was like, go out here and get snag Cooper Kupp with your young quarterback, whoever you decide to get. I was like, and have him somewhere else to throw to. Give Daboll a real offense to work with. Like I said, I was like, it shouldn't cause. I was like, they got the money to do it. They're not really paying too many people right now, so I was like, you can fill it in. The Bengals, if you lose T Higgins, which I think they will, with a lot of these other teams could also be in play for T Higgins, I think it would be an all right spot. I was like, I just don't know about the Bengals. Just don't seem like the team to be like, you know what? So we're not going to trade people to get more picks. We're not also going to trade for somebody to get takeaway picks. That doesn't seem like that fits the MO. I think it will work for the Bengals. I don't think that the Bengals organization is going to do anything like that. That's where the problem sort of comes in. The Lions were tricky because I was like, you got Jameson Williams, who's a good player, but he's not a number one receiver. Amon St. Brown, I was like, he's sort of the number one receiver on here, and I was like, they sort of fall in sort of similar categories, just Cooper's a little bit bigger. I was like, but to me, I was like, if you're in a championship window, go to hell all in. I was like, those draft picks aren't needed in the same way. Like, yes, you need depth on defense from what happened this year, but go all in. I was like, go ahead and go all in. Packers, you don't know when Chris Watson gonna come back, and I was like, to me, I think you sort of do need a veteran receiver with that group that's not also going to hog up the spotlight or be too much bigger than the team at the same time. And the way Jordan Love played, I was like, while you missed the deep threat, I think he does sort of work with a lot of these other receivers that find a good spot, like how Coop does. I was like, Panthers. I was like, you still also need receiver. Even though you got Thielen, you also need receiver, and you sort of been in a spot where, hey, veterans can go if they sort of want to showcase that they still got it. The Saints, I was like, they money situation is weird, but Chris Olave has concussions and injury problems, and I was like, they really don't have another receiver there, and they're always trying to be like, we're gonna try the playoffs this year, and they always fail. So I can see them totally training for it. And last but not least, and I think that the team that should is the Falcons. You don't need to draft picks in the same way anymore. You have your quarterback. You got three offensive talents on that. I was like on the offense. You got a pretty good line. I was like, go ahead and go all in. Yes, you need some spots on defense, but to me, that's where you should just. I was like, use your first couple picks, your money, and all that other stuff on defense this year or whatever. Now, segue to Myles Garrett. Now, I want to say everybody benefit. There's no select team like there was with Cooper Kupp. So everybody could do well with getting Myles Garrett. But segue the Falcons, because what I was just saying earlier, I was like, they are one dominant pass rusher away, I think, from being able to control that division. I was like, Penix, I think looks good enough. They got the receivers, not counting Cooper Kupp, but I was like, they got the receivers. Whereas like they got AJ Terrell, they got Simmons, and they got I forgot old buddy from that's been on the Bengals, but they got the top two safety that's kind of just like always getting around the ball. Dominant passers, just get a dominant. You get somebody like Garrett, I was like, cool. First, third, next year, second, whatever, another first. I was like, you got your quarterback, you're fine in a lot of these spots. You got your receiver, you're good. You got a tight end if you want to keep him flipping, whatever. You got your running back. I'm just saying, they got the pieces where they could go get Myles Garrett and be done with it. The Packers, I was like, they shown that they're willing to dip in free agency. Okay. Because I was like, once again, they need somebody dominant on that side as well, too. Jairus Alexander, I was like, while he's been in and out the last couple of years, I was like, their defense has gotten a little bit better as the second half always goes around. You know what helps with all of that? A dominant ass pass rusher. I was like, once again, I was like, yes, they like to get all their picks and have people playing on their team because they don't get free anything like that. Except for, guess what? You can kind of do that now. You got enough receivers. Your line is pretty decent. Like I said, I was like, your defense sort of gets helped by getting somebody like Myles Garrett. And I was like, speaking of this division, the Vikings, same boat. I was like, you want to keep Flores. I was like, the defense was already pretty strong this year. Guess what changed that whole thing? It changes the whole fact that you can also like have Sam Darnold as your quarterback too. You ain't got to worry about necessarily like a bad game from him because I was like, you got somebody on the other end that can erase at least a mistake or so. You get what I'm saying? Not several, but a mistake or so. I seen people talking about the Bears, and I'm just like, no. I was like, you got to replenish that offensive line and stuff like that. Like, no, they're not that. And you just got sweat a couple years ago. No, the Commanders. I was like, I think that's what they was missing to me, and I think they was missing a dominant pass rusher. I was like, Luvu is really good, and he was really doing well rushing the passer this year. But I think he's a piece, not the pass rusher. Dante Fowler is kind of just like there. I was like, he's athletic enough to make noise, but he ain't somebody of that's like substance. I think that when you have Payne and Allen, you need a dominant dude, and you got Marshawn Lattimore, but also what helps him when sometimes he's on that island by himself struggling, a dominant pass rush. You got enough young people on the defense. I was like, you're going to have to sign some of these one-year guys back, but I was like, your offense is fine pretty much. I was like, they also could be in the Cooper Kupp thing, but I was like, I sort of like where they got in Brown and Crowder, and if Brown comes back, then I was like, I don't know about that. Hell, go get both of them. Your team, I was like, you got your quarterback. You're a little bit more closer than people thought. The Seahawks, I was like, I forgot McDonald. I was like, basically come from the Ravens. I was like, had a good pass rush while it was there, and to me, I was like, it just changed the whole team. I was like, sometimes where that team is like they can score, and yes, Gino will get the ball up and be a little bit tight sometimes, but I'm like, an offense, guess what best? I was like, sometimes, hell, Dallas was in a lot of games just because of Michael Parsons, yet alone. So I was just thinking of like teams that got the draft picks to where they're just kind of like, Seahawks is kind of hard because you don't know where they at. They feel that they're at with the Geno Smith part. See, a lot of these other ones, they at least got their quarterback at some form to where I'm like, they can make the trade picks and not that bad. Seahawks is kind of hard in that situation. The Bucks, I was like, they're cool with Mayfield. I was like, their offense is always pretty decent with Evans, and they got I was like the young dude that just came up. I can't think of his name, like McLaughlin or something like that. I was like, maybe no, that's in the arm of the Angels. Uh, yeah, I was like, but what have they been missing pretty much in their championship run? Pass rush. I was like, give somebody else to be scared of besides Vita Beta. I was like, yeah, they might get a DB or something like that. Go spend the money. But I was like, pass rushing, that's what they sort of need. Just like I sort of said with the Falcons. Jets and Chargers, I was like, they don't have their. I was like, Jets don't have their quarterback, but I was like, that's the type of move I could see the Jets and itself sort of making. The Chargers, I was like, you got Bosa. I think Khalil Mack is coming back, or he's going to test free agency, so we'll see how that goes or whatever. But Harbaugh, somebody that like to play defense in the trenches. I wouldn't be surprised if they would. I was like, I know they wouldn't try to keep in the AFC. But the biggest teams is the Chiefs. I don't think they can money wise, but they sure as hell should try. I was like, they're in dynasty mode. Sorry about that. But really, I was like, I kind of want to say Buffalo. Like I think they need a lot on their defense. But like I said, what will change all that? Myles Garrett. I was like, you need somebody to get after Patrick Mahomes. That's what you sort of got to think about in some of these situations. I was like, with some of these teams, I was like, this one, Buffalo is probably at the top of the list because you need a dude to go after Patrick Mahomes. And it's like that will make everybody else fall in line in a way to where it's like, cool, you probably have to change the money on Von Miller's contract. But I was like, if you're able to keep him, now it's going to be like, cool, his situational time works a lot better. Like, he was a lot better when he had Aaron Donald, when he didn't have to be the man like how he used to anymore. And also with like Leonard Floyd and all of them as well, too. You can just replicate that over there with them. So I was like, to me, I was like, Buffalo, Falcons, I think the Vikings and the Commanders will be my top teams to get Myles Garrett in the end. I was like Cooper Kupp. I was like, it was a team. I was like, I don't think there was really any too big major of teams. I think all of them could use him in that situation. Anyway, I was like, I was like kind of long, but I was like, I wanted to put both of them in there just because I was like, they both came at the same time. They're both significant players. And I was like, well, like one that has still got more to go, and two is in basically the problem of being dominant. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, no point in doing two separate videos when it's like, hey, it's trade season. We're gonna get these all out the way. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know. Till then, peace. I'm out. Sure. Yeah, let's let that.